それでは本日最後となりますプレゼンターをご紹介いたしましょう。リチャード・リンさんです。Next, our final presenter today is Mr. Richard Lin. The floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Hello. こんにちは。私はリチャード・リンです。Okay, but my Japanese is not good enough. 少しできます。So I speak English today. And today I want to share about building sustainable Web3 developer ecosystem from the open source in Greater China, the insight from open source in Greater China. And I'm actually born and raised in Taiwan, and I live in China for 12 years, and I do many open source things and the community in China. And today I want to share about the developer landscape in China, especially open source developer. And then I will talk about current Web3 policies in China. And then I see some challenge we observed from and at Chinese developer and the future potential in open source in the developer ecosystem in China. And then I will talk about developer pain points and my incubator OpenSeed solution ideas. Okay, and let me introduce myself. I'm co-founder of OpenSeed. This is an early stage incubator for open source, AI, and the Web3 projects. And then I have a consulting firm, is OpenQ. And I'm the co-founder of 开源社. 开源社 in Chinese, it's a 开源 means open source. 社 means society. Maybe if you know Japanese kanji, you know 开源 is open source and 社 is 下. 开一下 no 下. So we have an open source community focused on open source governance in China, and we built 开源社 in 2014. Okay, so that time is I go to China in 开源社, and then I've worked in, for example, Huawei. Maybe you know Huawei company. I'm responsible for AI, a developer ecosystem, and then I go to 01.ai as a large model company, and I translate 2 books, Open Source Beyond Code and the Developer Relations, into Chinese. So I do many things in open source in Chinese. And let us can see global open source developer distribution. This is from GitHub. Okay, from GitHub. You can see the map. And GitHub's observations over the past decades, 10 years, the past decades, the total number of global developer has exceeded 100 million. Okay, 100 million. 100 million many. Among them, among whom the number of open source developers is over 22 million. 22 million. And then the number of developers in China exceeds 10 million. Exceeds 10 million. And within the total number of open source developers being approximately 2 million, almost 2 million. So I can see the number, okay, the number in China, and we can see the contribution because open source developer not only just to use the open source, but to contribute to, for example, we have a pull request in GitHub. So we can see over 10 years from 2015 to last year, you can see the red line is in USA contributor. It's very high, still very high, but you can see the second curve. Second curve is China. Okay, so you can see China developer come approximately one third of US developer. So open source culture and the developers rising and rising this year rise more. Okay, so we can see the key observation. Okay, and this is this is an conclusion of Oh, okay, the report. The report's name is called Global Open Source Development Report, and it's a preview edition, not published yet. But I joined a project called a UN OSI. UN means United Nations. Okay, OSI means Open Source Insight. So I joined this project and have some insight. For example, you can see the ranking. Almost the American, okay. Activity, the first ranking is USA, and second is China. And for example, growth, India growth very high. And the second is also China. And the contribution is US and China. And third, the contribution growth, the first one is China. So you can see there are so many, for example, influence growth, the second one is Japan. Yeah, so we have some, we grab the data from GitHub and analyze the data. So if you want to know more about this report, you can contact me later and I can show you the total preview edition. So you can see China is near the ranking 2 and go rising. Okay, and the current Web3 policies in China. There are so many people talk about, oh, China government maybe banned Web3 and banned block technology. It's not true. It's not true. But there's no clear legal framework because the legal and political system is not the same between China and the Western countries. So sometimes we should feel and to touch the line, maybe is a very big gray zone, a very big gray zone in China. But even the boundaries remain vague. But we see some fact. For example, this year, this year, 2025, the wave of RWA and the stable coin push regulators to a more relaxed standards. For example, I see some government institute talk about RWA, talk about stablecoin. So they want to make it more relaxed and make people know this. In practice, token insurance, we cannot issue the token directly in mainland China. It's still we cannot issue. But developer events and the technical content sharing are very good. And maybe some city and region may impose some stricter controls of the event. But as we know, in 2025, there are over 200 Web3 related technical events. For example, last month, ETH Shenzhen, okay, we have more than 1,000 participants there, and no any barriers from the government. And the challenge, and we observe at Chinese developer, maybe global developer are the same. The first one, policy, and the second one, language and culture. Maybe it's the same in Japan, I see. And we have some barriers in communication and the international exchange because of the language and the culture. But we see some short-term focus is more seriously. Developers often drawn to finance and the trading use cases because its nature is a very good use case in finance and trading, and it leads to infra and public goods. And we promote infra and public goods, so we know it's less motivation from the developer. And some project, some public chain, they want to fastly to reach their KPIs. For example, how many developers come here, and there are so many applications. So profit-only mindset, and the mindset and the motivation mechanism. For example, give the grants and have a very high-value gift to the developers. So the profit-only mindset will influence the developer themselves too, influence back too. So and some project, they preference for KOL type developers. They will see, oh, how many followers on the Twitter, but not but neglecting a long-term relationship with the really high quality contributors. And the future potential in China, open source and developer ecosystem, we can see especially this year, rapid growth of open source plus AI in China. Maybe DeepSeek is also known in Japan. And it gains many strong traction in China and then globally. This year, February, I was in UK and talk about Chinese open source, and they say, oh, we should thank to DeepSeek. I say, why? Because the first time Financial Times report open source is about Red Hat, and the second time Financial Times report open source is because of DeepSeek. Okay, so I know that. And second, we know stablecoin and RWA is raising focus. So many startups and the developers know this and want to do some project. And then wave of Chinese open source project going overseas and maybe globally. They want to boost Web3 developer, Web3 ecosystem integration and investment interest, because the capital in China won't invest the Web3 project. But outside China, there are so many capital from Web3 world. And the open source hardware, okay, for example, in Shenzhen, you know, is a global manufacturer, and the hardware industry and the developers expanding abroad alongside with AI, and sometimes, for example, a code wallet or some chips, we can do it. So we see some pinpoint from the developer side. They say, oh, I want to focus on making great open source project. I hope my project can help more people and build a vibrant community. But some people say, I don't want to just code for fun. We think code for fun is very good because Linus Torvalds say, but some people say, I cannot just with love, but with money. I want to do open source can earn some money. So maybe exhausting, maybe our project cannot grow sustainably, and the community governance is hard. So I gather many expert in open source community and help open source project to do the good thing. So OpenSeed, we want to do open source instead of just public goods, because public good is a vague term. Open source is from OSI, you know, open source, sorry, I in Institute, oh, no, OSI, you know, the project. So we want to help public goods project adopt open source methodology, and we have some ideas. Because of the time, I don't explain it all, but I want to share, we want to help open source, and we are from open source community, and we want to, for example, Ethereum or some public chain will collaborate and maybe donate us to do the idea. And tomorrow afternoon, you can see the green words. Tomorrow afternoon, we have the. I'm also a member from Open Build community. And the Open Build have a track tomorrow afternoon is open source bridge between China and Japan, actually global developer exchange. Yeah, so we have some, for example, Rust. Zhang Handong is a very senior Rust developer working with Rust, the growth journal of China Rust developers, and we have some other, for example, anti-MVE methodology, and based on Ethereum's exploration and practice of blockchain engineer cultivation, and the Zhuang Biaowei China open source ecosystem observation. And we have a close meeting. So if you want to talk to us more closely, tomorrow afternoon is the best way for us, because we gather many Chinese developers come here, EDCON, to want to talk with you. So because I just 1 minute. My name is Richard, and if you have LinkedIn or Twitter, you can add me on LinkedIn or WeChat this. So let me introduce Ian Xu. Yeah, Ian Xu here. He is the OpenBuild, founder of OpenBuild. So if you want to know more, let me introduce OpenBuild. It's a open source, it's a Web3 community and attract Web2 developers, because we know there are so many needs from the Web2 developer. For example, a Web3 developer is not enough to do things. So we want to attract Web2 developer come to Web3 technology, and we will train them, and we will teach them Web3 technology, and make them collaborate with like Ethereum or other public chain. So if you interested collaborate with OpenBuild, you can contact us, Ian Xu. Okay, so the time's up, and I appreciate your listening. ありがとうございます。はい、ありがとう。